Hello, tankers and gamers. It's Momentary Genius here, back with setting up and first match with the brand new Season 100 level reward, the Bandit, a independent tank, not mercenary tank, or as I like to call it, what the S2S25 Sprute ST tank destroyer from Wish. I admit, when this was announced at the beginning of the season, I was kind of interested in it. Had the potential to be a best of two worlds. It's essentially the T-72 Ural turret and boom snout on top of the Leopard 1A5 hull, and with a few bits and baubles tacked on. There's some extra sheets of metal on the hull to kind of act as armor. Sometimes at extreme angles it works. I, however, kind of realized that that's all they done was taken a T-72 turret and boom snout and just stuck it on the hull. There's no, alright, it keeps the strengths of these tanks, but also the weaknesses. And that was kind of like, huh. It's not like, oh, it's the T-72 turret, but because it's on the hull of a Leopard 1, it has 7 or 8 degrees of gun depression. Okay, so it doesn't have that. It's actually kind of a worse Leopard, because the mantlet of the 1A5 does have the potential to bounce rounds similar to that, like the T-72 Ural turret. The T-72 Ural turrets can bounce rounds, but it's the fact that if you shoot directly down the barrel of a T-72, you're probably going to pen, and that's not necessarily the case with the 1A5. That mantlet at angles and distance can really bounce, but shooting straight from the middle of that turret, you're good chance you're going to pan, especially with the 100mm and up boom snout. So always remember, do that T-72 wiggle of that turret, keep it moving. The speed is better than the Ural, which is really the main comparison you want for this. But it's like, oh, you get 10 more kilometers per hour, but you get weaker armor, although the T-72 Ural armor wasn't that good to begin with. You also kind of have the accuracy of the Ural. It's technically balanced, but also easily forgotten about for me, because I went and bought the Pharaoh's Fury Ramses 2 tank, and oh, that was almost instantly put on my marked for my favorites. So to set it up, checking out the rounds, yeah, it's the standard T-72. You get your APCR. Excuse me, wrong mode. APF SDS, and I think heat, which is useless, but then you get the HE, so it's kind of like, all right, how do I set up all my other T-72s that don't have ATGMs? Yippee. And yeah, the main weakness, because it is the ammo rack. That was the one concern. I was like, yep, the ammo rack is in the same spot despite having a different turret and loading mechanism. So instead of getting shot through the front drive wheels and being set on fire, I just could be a one shot for an ATGM. Again, it's balanced because it took some strengths that were kind of equal, in my opinion, and also kept the cons, which, were definitely also balanced in their own way. The one thing I was excited about, because there's not enough of these in this game, is that there's some new camo that comes, I think, exclusive with this independent line. Not mercenaries. Really, really wish this was its own separate mercenaries lines. I've explained that in a previous video. Because the mercenaries are the whole mythos and ideology created by World of Tanks Council. These are not real tanks. Is totally separate from any nation's ideology. So, but at least we get some cool new camos, which I wish there were more camos. In fact, I wish there we had a selection of like 100 different camos as opposed to being overwhelmed and flooded with premium tanks. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that quality of life of having more camos than another premium tank that either is like this one. It's it's not it like I said, once I got the Ramses 2, the Pharaoh's Fury, it was like, yeah, this tank is forgettable. So for future everyone, don't bother with this. It's like the T-72. It's like you don't. There are better and more impressive tanks out there that you may like more. So if you like the disappointing truth, but at the same time, hey, if you want advice on what to be sad about when you get a bundle, by all means, like and subscribe to my channel. So now I'm just trying to find camos here to make the skulls pop out. It's like, yeah, how can I make this, keep this interesting and unique? Because it was like, yeah, it's like when I read the papers, it was like, oh, so it's just faster than a T-72, but not as well armored as a T-72. And you know, like I said, I wish there was a little gimmick to this tank as opposed to like I still have to play it like my T-72. It's like, oh, I'm there. If they just like, oh, 7 degrees of gun depression. I mean, it comes with 6 on the T-72s, give or take. Or like, oh, it has 8. Or they used the boom snout from the T-72 AV and it shot missiles, which no one would use because they take too long to load. And it's just, yeah, it's a usable tank. It is. But again, the standard penetration is 408. But the standard penetration on the Leopard 185 is like around 426. And yeah, okay, the alpha's higher on most of the T-72 rounds. But it's that weird thing of where the 105 millimeters have the better penetration, better guarantee to penetrate, and you have 440 alpha versus 500 something alpha. What would you rather have? Guaranteed penetration and decent damage, or a little less penetration, better chance to bounce, and what's the point of having high alpha if you have the higher alpha if you're going to bounce? It's just, I wish maybe they kept the T-72 turret and then maybe put on a crazier boom sound. Like, oh, for some weird reason, they took the RDF-LT 6-shot autoloader and they used that. It's like, well, that's crazy. That's barely even 100 millimeters. And yet, if they kept it the buffed version, that could be an interesting setup there of like, I can't penetrate the turret and the boom snout won't stop shooting at me. Yeah, it's yeah. That actually could be broken. Because if you think about it, a well-armored RDF-LT is a scary thought. I mean, oh, it's bigger and easier to hit, but or maybe that's too far. So, again, the only thing I really got excited as I was now looking at the numbers again and reminding myself of all the stats, like, oh, hey, camo's awesome. This I like. But again, as a fan of T-72s, it's like, well, it doesn't matter what the hull is. If you got the same turret with the same type of gun depression, you're still going to have to play it the same way. Because I know the T-72 Ural doesn't have the best front armor. It is no T-72M1 or it's no T-72A. It was a definition of an export tank. You know, an allied nation of Mother Russia wanted a tank, and they're like, here, as long as you agree with to be our allies, you can have this, but just to make sure it's, you know, we're still superior. You're just not going to be that good. And of course, I thought Steve was the perfect commander for the Bandit because he's off on his own, you know, after E.T. boned your mom. He's now number one wanted being by the Men in Black. So standard, I tried to lean more towards my medium setup, which I put silent driving on to kind of emphasize the stealth factor of the leopards, which this sort of has, because also anything to protect that ammo rack. Although I haven't, I don't put on, reinforced ammo rack just yet. After, grinding through the leopard ones, it's like you have to come to terms. Okay, it's you can disagree with me all you want, my little feline friend, but it's just a milquetoast tank. You can have fun, but again, it's like it's the old tradition World of Tanks console had, like, yeah, the premium tanks, which maybe will be this because it's a mercenary independent tanks will be available for contracts. So, hey, if you don't have to pay for it financially, maybe you'll enjoy it more because, it's a low risk to entry here to play it. So, yeah, it's okay. Oh God, the reload. Yeah, that again, like, you got the T-72 reload, so it's like, yeah, I got my reload down to 7.5 seconds versus the ability to get it down to like 6.5 with a Leopard's 1A or the Leopard boom snout, which just, yeah, it's, oh God, it's so in the middle of the road of the strength and cons of both tanks, which is kind of surprising, but especially as there's also tanks that I think more people need to try out and play. The TR-580 and the TR-85. Now, if they had based the hull on that, and that speed and that armor profile, and put a T-72 turret on there, we're going from 100 millimeter boom snout to 125? Yeah. Now we're maybe tipping to unbalanced territory, but I would sure have more fun. Or, to keep it that unbalanced, a TR-580 with a Leopard turret and 105. That's also a scary concept there, because those TR tanks, they have some good front armor. Check out my Pharaoh's Fury video, because I demonstrated how effective that frontal armor can be on the TR-85. You can, all right. Everyone, Wallace just wants you to know that he really appreciates you watching and supporting me, and that if you would just like to leave a comment about how awesome cats are, he would appreciate it. And yes, or maybe they could have been crazy and included like Hesh with his, I don't know. But yeah, here I am looking at penetration values and stuff. It's like, yeah, the Leopard's penetration is, in my opinion, oh my God, like the Leopard 1A1. Oof. Oh yeah. We are talking significantly better penetration than this 125 millimeter on the Bandit. And all, it's like, this is, again, if you ordered a tank from Wish, or like I said, the stop doing that. Or like I said, the 2S25 tank destroyer from Wish, I would this is what you would get. I honestly, like, hey, you take the Object 934 hull and you take the boom snout from the T-72 series tank, especially the more modern ones. That's a more modern tank, and yeah, there's something that I would like to see a version of in Era 3. I mean, it'll still be absolutely trashed by all the MBTs, but hey, maybe its camo factor still will be just like non-existent, and that'll be its one advantage. I don't know. All right, but back to reality here. Oh, say hello to the Wolfman. Earned that from the Monster Mash op. Now, Vineyards Vineyards is one of my favorite maps. This is a good medium tank map. This is a good all around map. So I'm looking forward to playing it here. It's more about working with the lower accuracy of the gun. The boom sound. Sorry, don't come at me, YouTube. All right, I'm sorry. I'm getting better at this. I do like that there is a bit more of a lower profile to the turret than with the Leopards, but I don't really feel it's much of a marked difference. It's still the same silhouette as a Leopard. You know to aim for the hull for sure. And it's that trade-off of I just like, all right, I don't have to protect my tracks as much, but I still have to be very hyper aware of ATGMs and really hope my ammo rack doesn't get damaged and then it gets slammed with Hesh or Hep. So yeah, it's almost like, hey, we need another medium premium tank for Air 2. All right, slap these together and call it good. Which, yeah, that's how it seemed and how it became. And then compared to other premium tanks, like, no, if you're a fan of the Bandit, by all means comment in down below and let me know what you like about it. Do you think it's better than the two tanks it's inspired from or based on, really? And I'm interested, and are you interested in any more of these non-mercenary independent tanks coming to Air 2? Or the Cold War at all? Or would you prefer maybe another real-world tank line of some sort with a couple fake tank only had designs? My little kitty walrus here thinks the Bandit is awesome and totally fine. I don't know. There's the rock crawler that okay, listen, I only had to pay 2,000 gold for this and all the other tanks in the Season Pass. So as a Season tank goes, this is totally fine. And I really shouldn't trash it that much, because if you play it like you do most of your T-72s at a distance from the start, you can be very effective. You have that mobility. You don't have such a wide tank, but it is taller than the hull of most T-72s. So, yeah, it's one of those things of like, you still play it cautiously at the start, like you would the T-72 to really protect your health points. But at the same time, once it gets to that midpoint and latter stages, being aggressive, you suddenly feel like you better have your health points, because you're going to have to eat more rounds than bounce rounds. So, and the downside to this is you don't have that accuracy, that almost laser-like accuracy that you get with a lot of the 105 millimeter boom snouts. So it's like having a Leopard with a derpy boom snout. It really is. You can see sometimes like the round just hang a left, or just it thought it saw a rabbit in the dirt, so it decided to bury itself in the dirt. And now here I'm doing something I didn't initially wanted to do, but because I felt this area was being once again unsupported, as seems to be a case sometimes, it's like, yeah, I had to try to get over the ridge line, use my 6 degrees of gun depression, and just try to mount a defense. Ask for help, but this was one of those matches where that wasn't to be. And there you go. The thing I like, especially with the T-72M1, the T-72AV, and sometimes with the Euro, but more with those far better tanks, is when it comes to T-72s, you can get that last tank standing sensation where your armor and your firepower is good, so good, like, yeah, you lost, but you were the last thing standing, and you have this one, it took 5 of you to take me out. And especially if you've been doing damage, like, I took out 5 of your tanks, and like the damage I've done shows I could have taken out another 2. It can help give you that, tank god sensation that this tank, if you get into a good support role, I guess you can be like, but there's none of that, you know, ego stroking of it. It took half your team to destroy me. Oh God, I'm amazing. Why aren't you guys? Yeah, that's where the T-72s can help you in the ego department. It's like, yeah, we lost, but by my count, half the team was needed to eliminate me. Ha. So that was not a very remarkable first match, which is why I was like, okay, let's do a second match, give it a chance. And this second match does turn out a little bit better. I had a more of a solid team, but hey, sometimes you can't hate the player, you can't hate, the tank, you sure as heck can hate the matchmaker. And I'll take it. I came in second on the losing team, so I guess that also reflects sort of where the band is maybe placed on the lower spectrum of the era, so it might help you work your way towards, that long haul key card, or nope, war chest, sorry, long haul war chest, if that's something you care about. If you play a lot, might not have any fun getting there, but. And we're back here on Hell's Highway, so the second match. I am enjoying having these Halloween mode maps in the general map rotation, but yeah, definitely don't. If it weren't for the increased darkness and shadows, these maps would be horrible to play in regular mode. So this is a nice little refreshing break, considering how starved we are for new maps. And by new maps, I mean that not in the, the World of Tanks console sense of here is a new, old, remastered map. I am talking about new maps in general. So here we are, proving once again that a detected tank is a targeted tank and not able to take any hot shots on the armadillo. I'm moving, it's moving. There's just, let's not risk it with this. I mean, you miss 100% of all shots you don't take, but yeah, with a derpy boomsnap like this, I think I'll just save the round. Now we're trying to see the darker shadows amongst the lighter shadows and know that that's a tank. And now that the it's like, yes, detect anything, shoot at anything that seems to move, but so far I've at least found a nice little spot where I'm protected from at least about 180 degrees of protection here. I have the hill I can sort of use, and that's nice because I do know that at some point there's a good chance tanks, as you can see now, will be coming down the 1-2 line, just in case there were some that like, I don't know where to go, so I'm just gonna hang at spawn for a little bit. Now I'm moving up because I honestly felt like my team wasn't aggressive enough, and it's like, all right, let's do a recon mission here. Let's find out how many tanks are over there, get them detected, and let's get some rounds started flying. Oh God, I thought there was a monster behind me. It just turned out to be a destroyed sign. That freaked me out during the match. Like, I don't remember that set decoration being there when they were talking about this map. So now I'm trying to use cover and do peekaboo because hey, things are starting to light up. I need to make sure I can, what I can and can't hit. Unfortunately, I found out I can be hit, which means I am too far forward. And I need to fall back to that little gully I was kind of hiding in, which was at that time safe, and maybe I can still start putting my own rounds downrange. Of course, from this position, again, having to go up and over hills, having to go farther over, all I can think about is ammo rack. 1 ATGM, and it's all over. Which is how you should always play the leopard. Like, At any moment, it's over, and you have to accept that when you play a leopard. So I've fallen farther back. I'm checking to see what I can and can't shoot, eyeing the map, getting an idea where all the enemy tanks are, if they're on top of the hill or behind the hill, and just showing up and being detected. I'm still trying to find a sweet spot here where I'm farther back and not, and I don't know, maybe the moonlight's behind me and I'm more exposed than I realize in that situation, because I did take a hit. I'm returning back to this position because this is where I'm also getting hit the most from. And as I look over, the enemy team on that side of the map is just, it's a waste of time even looking that way now. And now here we are, like, which part of this hill is low enough for me to get over, but will be high enough from when I fall back to not leave any part of my tank exposed. Yes, I understand why all of you are huge fans of gun depression. I get it. Shut up. I don't care. I love tanks with, I do appreciate, I can use the lack of gun depression. I can work with it, all right? It's not always that big a deal. And here we go. We have the Leopard 1A1 making a break, trying to flank us. Brave, sir. Brave, sir, in such a weakly armored tank. And unfortunately, yeah, that happened. What was I saying? Yes. We at least kept them detected. We slowed the advance of the enemy team. On this side, we were able to provide some damage to make them more easy for our team. We got surrounded, all right. Okay. They had the numbers, then they had the hill, and and the ATGM, like I said. The ATGM is something anyone in a Leopard must fear. But we do win, and I am thankful for that. But it did kind of prove the whole point of, without having a T-72 hull and that armor, this tank is more of the cons of both worlds than it is the best of both worlds in relation to the Leopard 1A5 tank and the T-72. I have to say Ural, because this really is like the Ural. Yeah, if this ever comes up for sale again, I don't recommend buying it if it's in a bundle. I really hope in that bundle this is the worst of the tanks and not the best of them, because that's not good and not worth it. And if this comes up in a contract and all you play is Cold War, then yeah, sure, get it. And you can have it there, and if it ever shows up in a war chest, you might have a better chance of making some gold. But aside from that, it's a milquetoast tank in an ocean of a wide variety of kinds of premium tanks in Era 2. So on that, it's depressing or truthful end, keep your tracks on the ground and hope the RNG's in your favor. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.